Okay, when you're selling a property, you have to make sure that the market conditions are right. How do you assess those market conditions? You have to at least look around in the community to see what are the prices that other houses that are similar to yours have been selling for. One of the other ways that you can also assess the market condition, if those information are not available to you readily, is that you can always hire a realtor who would be able to give you an idea of what the market conditions are, such as what other houses have been sold for in that area. Additionally, what are buyers looking for are also part of the market conditions that you have to consider before you determine what is the best price to sell your house at. Well, there are various options available to a seller. Of course, one of the biggest factors is going to be cost for advertising. Of course, you can always advertise in the Gleaner or the Observer Classified. You can advertise online. With the increase in the use of social media, there are various different opportunities for a potential seller to advertise their home. Or you can take the option of hiring a realtor to advertise it for you. But it's going to be based on what your budget is for advertising. That's going to determine how you're going to advertise that property. Well, the selling process is a legal process. It's not as complicated as a lot of people might think. It is why you hire an attorney to deal with it for the most part of it. But once you've identified a buyer that you want to sell your property to, the process begins with you speaking with your attorney as to the terms and conditions for that particular sale agreement. And once you can iron out what those terms and conditions are, the buyer will also agree to those terms and conditions, and then the sale agreement is signed. After the sale agreement is signed, the buyer must commit in whatever way or means connected to the sale agreement as to how they're going to finance that particular purchase. And once that is agreed upon and the buyer is able to indicate how they're going to finance that particular purchase, then your attorney would be able to do what needs to be done between themselves and the mortgage company in order for the property to be sold. So the process, as I said before, is a legal process. It's one that your attorney would be able to handle. And your entire role in the process is to make sure that you keep the property safe, because of course the person's buying it and they need it thereafter when the process is completed. But also you're going to have to make sure that your property taxes are paid up to date. You have to make sure that the water rates are paid up to date. If it's an apartment or a townhouse, you have to make sure that the maintenance is also paid up to date. So those are your direct obligations. And then of course, if you currently have a mortgage on the property, then you have to communicate with your mortgage company the fact that you are thinking of selling the property. Because one of the things that have to be dealt with is that the mortgage, whatever outstanding amount, has to be paid. Also, as a potential seller, you're going to have to notify other owners if they're co-owners, because they have to be part of the process. As well as if it is that you have tenants, then you're going to have to give them notice, because more than likely that potential purchaser is going to require vacant possession. Well, you have to give a tenant at least 1 month's notice, and the notice must indicate the particular reason for which you want that tenant to vacate the property. There's a particular standard form that can be purchased in any pharmacy or bookshop, and the potential seller can write up that notice form, ensure that it is served on the tenant at least 1 month before the next pay date for rent, and make sure as well that you keep a copy of the notice. Well, one of the things that's very important is that you have to make sure that what you're showing to a buyer is what a buyer is going to want to buy, and that is attractive to that particular buyer. So just as how you would go into a store and you want to make sure that the things are displayed in the way that you like to see them, it's the same thing with a buyer. So one of the things that we encourage individuals to do when showing their home is that they do small renovations, renovations that are low cost, that are going to make a significant difference to what the buyer sees when he comes and look at that property. So like painting, patching out of holes, those are the small renovation ideas are good in insuring the home. You want to make sure that if it's land, for example, with no building on it, you want to bush it so that persons can actually see the actual property and know what it is that they're buying. Okay, all mortgage company will allow for a potential buyer the process of coming in and indicating their income, indicating their particular desires as it relates to buying a property, and based on that particular mortgage company requirements, that purchaser can be pre-qualified, which essentially means that based on the information given by the potential buyer and based on the conditions that the mortgage company has, that person will be qualified for a mortgage. This pre-qualification is very good for a seller who's selling his property, because he can now say, well, this person who's interested in my property is somebody who is already qualified for a mortgage, and so I know that the process will be completed because there will be no financial obstacles associated with it. A letter of commitment is a document that a mortgage company or a financial institution will give to the buyer, and the buyer will in turn give that to the vendor. And that document essentially says that the mortgage company, after its own due diligence, believe that this buyer is somebody that is capable of meeting their mortgage terms. And so they will promise to pay out the particular sum to the seller at the end of the transaction. So it is not cash, but it is as good as cash. It is a commitment that the mortgage company will pay upon the completion of the transaction. That is an option that the vendor can contemplate. It is referred to as early possession. One of the things that a vendor will consider is, for example, if he will charge rent, when it is that he's going to consider early possession. But it is something that both parties can agree to, and the terms and conditions can vary based on legal advice. Well, there are different penalties under every sale agreement. Generally, the penalties are associated with interest, so an interest is charged from the date from which payments are due until when payments are made. However, if the buyer indicates at any point during the process that he or she is not going to be able at all to financially meet the obligations, then the agreement can be cancelled, and based on the time when the agreement is cancelled, then certain terms and conditions and penalties under the agreement will come into force. Well, the first cost obviously is the deposit. You have to have that in hand, and that can range from as low as 7.5 to as high as 20% of the purchase price. That's the first cost that a buyer must have in hand in order to deal with a purchase transaction. There are also what are known as add-on costs. There are your attorney's costs that you will have to pay. You'll also have to pay half cost for stamp duty, which is a tax that is charged by the government. You also have to pay a registration fee, half cost for that, which is also charged by the government. In addition to that, the vendor's attorney will charge you for half cost for the preparation of the sale agreement and half cost for the preparation of letters of possession. Outside of those add-on costs, you're going to have to pay for a survey ID report, as well as you're going to have to pay for a valuation report. And then in addition to that, you're going to have your mortgage company processing fees that you're also going to have to pay. And so those are the main costs associated with purchasing a property. Okay. One of the things is that before you even go looking for a property, you're going to have to know what it is that you can afford. And once you understand what it is that you can afford, you want to always stick with your budget. You also want to examine the actual physical structure. Look for cracks, look for watermarks, ask about additions to the particular structure. When also viewing, you want to explore the different options that are available to you, whether you want to buy in Kingston or you want to buy out of town, are various different options that are available. And when viewing, you have to come to some firm agreement with the owner or whoever is viewing the property to you. Some firm agreement as to the purchase price and some firm agreement as it relates to the particular deposit. We also encourage clients to include their spouse and their children in the viewing process. Very important. It's not a legal requirement. But of course, if it is that you have a spouse or children are going to be living in that particular property, then it's important that they also enjoy that property. And one of the things that we also advise clients to do is to conduct their own little community research on a property. We indicate to individuals that a community profile and character will change 2 times. It will change in the night, and it will also change on Sunday. So we encourage individuals, once you view a property, go back to that community in the night, go back to that community on a Sunday, and see what is the profile of that community to make sure that this is a property that you actually want to buy. One of the first things is that we encourage individuals not to get too excited. Because when you get too excited, you sometimes make some stupid decisions. Some of the things that people don't do is that they get excited about the price, they get excited about a particular community, and they never really look at the physical structure. And so they might be buying a property that might have some structural problems, and had they just taken the opportunity, whether to carry along somebody to look at the property or to look at it themselves, they would have not had that problem. Another pitfall is that persons, and it's part of the excitement process as well, will pay over money to owners, or pay over money to a realtor, or just pay over money to secure the property. We advise individuals not to do so until you have a sale agreement in hand. It is the #1 problem that we have with many clients. They will pay over the money and then they come to us about the sale agreement. It is something that we do not encourage at all. Particularly as it relates to paying over money to individuals that you can't verify are the actual owners of the property. So those are some of the pitfalls that we find are the biggest problems when buying property, and which we advise clients never to do. It is a legal process. Sometimes individuals want to avoid attorneys, but it is recommended that you always get an attorney when you're buying property, because it is a legal process. The law offices of Grace and Cameron is a general legal practice. However, we specialize in personal injury and we specialize in real estate transactions. One of the good things with the law offices of Grace and Cameron is that we have partnered with several different professionals, and these are all professionals that are going to assist the potential buyer and assist the potential seller in their entire process. So we've partnered with realtors, we've partnered with mortgage consultants, evaluators, surveyors, contractors, as a process in which we know that our clients are going to need these individuals. And so what we offer is a situation in which our clients will benefit from that partnership by paying lower fees, professional fees to these individuals. Additionally, we've been doing this for some time. Real estate transaction is what we do best. And we have paralegals who are trained particularly in that area. And as a matter of fact, each client will be told about who their assigned paralegal is, so that they won't feel left out in terms of trying to find out exactly what is going on with their matter. They'll always have an assigned paralegal for that purpose. Additionally, we have introduced since last year a flat fee structure for all clients, whether you're buying or selling property. And that flat fee structure allows our clients to save thousands in legal fees. Now, when selling or buying a property, we know that the add-on costs are expensive and are a deterrent to most individuals. So this particular step by LOGC is a step in a direction to save our clients some well-needed funds. Because buying a property is a big financial decision that individuals are taking. One of the things that we always encourage, and this is the first thing you should do, is to find out what it is that you can afford. Because quite often what you will find is that a buyer will get all excited, want to buy a property, they do qualify for a particular mortgage amount, and they will come in and they say, yes, they're going to buy this property, but they're unaware of the add-on costs. They're unaware of some of the other costs associated with getting a survey ID report and evaluation. So we always encourage individuals to know from the get-go what the total cost is associated with buying. And how you're going to do that is to speak with a mortgage consultant, or you speak with mortgage representatives or a mortgage institution, or even more importantly, you speak with an attorney to understand all the costs that are associated with it. And so we encourage individuals, in particular, as it relates to our firm, to attend our Let's Talk purchasing property sessions that we have every Wednesday, as part of the process of getting the information that is going to equip you to making the right choice in buying your home. We're located at 11 Carvalho Drive. Our telephone numbers are 960-3517. You can email us at lawofficegc@gmail.com, or you can visit us online at www.logclegalservices.com. We're also on Facebook and Twitter for those individuals who would like to contact us by that medium.